Before I do anything, I'll make sure this audio sounds okay. Test 1, 2. Go ahead.
Test. Check 1, 2. Mic check.
A little bit of a delay.
It's good, bud.
Okay. It's working, as far as I can tell. Hi, everyone. It's the weekly pre-wind. Um, we're pre-winding. It's the season wrap-up. Do I sound really excited for a back-to-back champion?
Congratulations on doing well this season, Kyle.
Thanks. Moving on. Let's talk about the week or something. Um, and no, in all seriousness, thank you. Um, I won the championship. Nobody cares. Let's move on. Let's look at some of the other results, specifically Tim Kinter's locking up his third highest score of the year. It was the second highest score of the season. So, in classic Tim Kinter's fashion, he saves his worst for second to last and his best for last. Um, but you know what? You finished with $20 in your pocket. Good job. What else can I say? I also want to look at the final standings. What you have something to say?
I was just gonna say it's $20 more than some this season, but we'll get to high scores a little bit later.
Yeah, let's see. Well, we had how many people recorded the high score this year? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So three teams were left out. And you know what, guys? There's always next year and the year after that.
But it's better than some years where we have practically three, maybe four teams only hitting high scores. So and as we've talked about before, it seemed a little more balanced this year than in some years.
And I predict the league will get even more balanced next year, given that we're expanding to 12 teams. So long as we don't have any, I don't scare anybody away. I think that'll obviously create a little more parity. No, we're not going to have as many stacked teams unless you have, someone taking Brock Purdy in the second round. That might benefit some teams more than others. Nonetheless, I'm looking forward to having more squads in the league to
Yeah.
potentially take down Life Finds Elway. But final standings. So we actually go off. So when I'm looking at the Yahoo, it is going off of the consolation bracket, which is not how we track the final standings in the GLFFL. So it shows Doobie Ashtray at ninth and Robo Pearson at 10th, but we go with the end of season rankings. So Doobie Ashtray actually taking home the shitter for the first time just 2 years after they stormed into the league and won the championship and dominated. Doesn't take much time as a Broncos fan, I can certainly relate. Won a Super Bowl and then sucked for quite a while.
It's impressive how the mighty have fallen. Like myself. No, I'm just joking. Have never won this league, but changing that
Here's,
around next season.
you know what? It only takes one. You've been steady Eddie, I would say, and I would. You're a good example of the league or fantasy football being like 49% luck. Uh, we've seen plenty of teams in this league experience their fair share of bad luck. Ditka
That's
in
for
a
sure.
box seems like
Yeah.
half of his team is injured every other year. Timken Terrors seems like he's putting up fat scores year over year and somehow not winning. Um, I feel like there's only a select few bottom feeders, you know who you are, that are, tipping the league in the wrong direction. You're not one of them. But yeah, congrats to everyone who won some money. Um, Pre-grade of the week, I went with T. Higgins because none of the other games really mattered, and there was no one on the bench of Drunk Santa that really would have saved his week. And so
Nope.
I went with the fact that I didn't start T. Higgins, which is really funny because Jacob encouraged me to play T. Higgins over AJ Brown. And then I think that was more so he thought that would have been a bad move on my part. And so he was trying to tip the scales in his favor. I did very briefly consider it, but I decided to go with the safer floor play, which, he got his 10 points. I had a lot of decent floor plays this week. But T. Higgins would have gotten, if I had started T. Higgins and the Eagles defense, he would have,
Yeah.
I would have been close to like an all time record score, but I'll take
I was like, oh,
the win.
yeah, looking at best scores, he definitely would have been sitting, first or second in that with those changes.
Oh well. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Here's your $20, Timken. You
You
earned
don't
it.
need the money. You don't need the money. You
I
got
don't.
the champs.
Yeah, I don't. And also, that would have added insult to injury for Timken to have one of the top three highest scores of the year and not even earn $20. So he deserved it. You know what? I would have broken a record for highest scores in a season, but I made the wrong plays. It's on me. I have nobody to blame but myself. Okay, let's look at the trophy winners. Okay, I retained the championship trophy, yada, yada, yada. Doobie Ashtray has the shitter coming his way. I will have to collect that from Steve and drop it off. I'm sure Devin will be hesitant to take it, and hopefully he doesn't break it. You did work hard on that trophy. Um, so it would be a shame if something happened to it while the shitter was in his possession.
There's there's no way that trophy can be replaced even. So
No, it is irreplaceable. I mean, only because it is partially made from my third place um, Weeblo Scouts design. What are those? What were those cars called?
the Pinewood Derby cars.
Pinewood Derby car. I got third place for
Yeah,
design, and I took half of that trophy and used it as the base for the shitter. So it is truly one of a kind. So Devin, don't let anything happen to that. I don't know the trophy winner yet. I'm going to have Slayton, post or upload a short video giving out his trophy. I'll be eager to see who the trophy winner was. Um, that is probably the second most coveted trophy in the league. So we're all sitting on pins and needles. What would you do if you won the trophy, Mark?
I would proudly display it up on the mantle until I was told that it should not be proudly displayed up on the mantle, and um, probably would end up either in my closet or on my desk at work, right next to my chili trophy.
I think
Um,
that's where it belongs. Essentially, building a
yeah,
trophy case there on your desk. I think if you leave it at home, the kids would probably get curious, and then you'd have to build another trophy.
and then I'd have to print them some trolls themselves. Which, let's go.
Um, okay, I didn't really have uh, oh shit stats of the week. I had more so oh shit stats of the season, and I was going back and just kind of uh, looking at some historical statistics, and I was curious more so where Timken fell in the history of high scoring teams in the league, considering he did not win the championship. I was surprised to find that I thought maybe my team this year was the highest scoring team ever. I was not by almost 3 points per game. The first year we did Superflex. So the Superflex era in our league began in 2020. That very first year, I recall, I think I had Josh Allen and Kyler Murray were the QB one and two that year, and so I had the highest scoring team ever. But they both shit the bed in championship week. Thus, that team, despite our high scoring affairs all season, we did not win the championship. And that is similar to Josh Allen and um, Kyler Murray this year. I think they also underperformed in championship week. So maybe I just need to stay away from them. I didn't have them on my team this year, but I thought that was curious. Um, Doobie Ashtray in 2022 was the third highest scoring. 2021 Northwest Bearcats, they're the fourth highest scoring. So fifth highest scoring team of all time. Tim Terrors, two on that list that did not win championships, one being myself. Just found that interesting. Did you have any
I think it's
Osh?
interesting that. Oh no, I don't have any oh shits, but I do think it's interesting that two of the highest scoring teams occurred this season. You know that we had so many points scored this season that both you and Timken made it into the top five. Um, that testament to how our league's growing, and I'm curious how that's going to look going forward. I don't know if we something we may need to talk about is, do we set a new, save this era as a statistical record, and start fresh, because if with the, like you said, the parity of needing to stack teams is going to be a little more challenging, but it'll be interesting to see what that looks like next year.
It's probably, I would predict it's going to be unlikely going forward. We have teams averaging over 130 points per game, but you never know. One team stacks a couple of top two, three quarterbacks and a super flex
Yeah.
that can be very valuable. Um, yeah, well, it'll be interesting to watch. We can certainly tap this as the 10-team superflex era, but I will still, given that the format is not changing, I think it'll always be interesting to compare teams against prior,
Yeah.
and maybe the relative scoring becomes more of the emphasis. Um, but yeah, I think the days of scoring 140 points or 135 points per game are probably behind us, and rightfully so. I wanted to look at, I just happened to stumble upon this when I was updating the stat sheet. I want to look at the preseason draft grades because I've always emphasized that the draft is not what wins you the league, at least not in this league. You got to work those trades, work that waiver wire. And it was really interesting. And it was, I think it's Chat GPT is what writes the draft.
It
So,
is. Yeah.
take that for what you will. The eventual champion, I got a C plus, and I'm almost every year I'm in the middle of the pack as far as my draft grades on there. Actually, I think last year I might have been had an
Middle or
F.
bottom?
I had an F, I think,
Yeah.
last year. Um, and so that you look at the top three, not to throw you under the bus, but A
Not at
plus, A
all.
minus. Those three teams did not make the playoffs. In fact, Doobie Ashtray was awarded the best draft by ChatGPT, and then went on to set a record for the most consecutive losses in our league's 20-year history. Um, so, ChatGPT probably not the most reliable resource for fantasy football. Also, I think
You know,
it doesn't really understand how Superflex affects your draft grades. I think it's just applying standard scoring.
and ChatGPT plays as much fantasy football as, a rock outside. So,
That's true.
you know, that rock might have actually put up a different result.
Patty Cakes, they did get an F, and I think they did end up being the lowest scoring team in the league, despite they made the playoffs, um,
Right.
which tells you all you need to know about luck in fantasy football. Drunk Santa, they got a D. They were in the